Hi guys, welcome back to another video tutorial. So in this tutorial we'll be going through what is an introduction to equation of tangent. So before getting into the actual question of an equation of tangent, these things that we're going to do today you need to understand and do. So this touches on equations of lines as well, but because the equation of tangent has equations of lines in it, you need to be able to know how to do this as well. Okay, so what I would suggest first is try and understand how this works first before getting onto equations of tangent, because that equation of tangent it's an A-star topic, and it will come for 4, 5, even potentially 6 marks. Okay, but again, for you to be able to answer that question, you need to be able to do the basics and the foundations first, which is starting with this. So let's get straight to the question. And hopefully if there's anything that you guys don't understand, just put it down in the comments and I will get back to you guys. Right, so the question here is asking us: the line y equals 8x minus 16 meets the x-axis at point A. Find the equation of the line that goes through A and has gradient 3. So before getting into this question, there's two things that you need to know in this kind of topic that also incorporates equations of tangent. If you know these two things, it will help you a lot. And the first two things is, and I'll write it here on the side, is if okay, so basically if it meets the x-axis, so if it meets the x-axis, what we normally say is we say basically y is equals to 0, and I'll show you how this works. Yeah, and then the other one is if it meets the y-axis, so if it meets the y-axis, we say x equals 0. Okay, so these are the two things that you need to know. So whenever you hear the word meets x-axis, you put y equals 0. Whenever you hear meets y-axis, you put x equals 0. Now how does that work? What do I mean by this? So I'll show you visually. So say if I have a line here, okay, and say if I just okay, for example, I just draw a straight line this way. Okay, now if you look at this, you can see there's 2 points here that this line intersects the axis. So let me call that point A, let me call that point B. Okay, and obviously we know that this is our x and this is our y. If you look at point A, right, if you look at point A, what is your y value at this point? Think about it. Okay, this is your x-axis and this is your y-axis. If I were to ask you what's your y value at this point, your y value is going to be 0, right? Y equals 0. Why? Because if you think about it, if this is 0, there is no height on this line. This point is on the x-axis. It touches the x-axis. It's literally on the x-axis. There's no height. It's not going up or down. It's literally on this line. So if it's on this line, if you were to read a coordinate, oh, hang on, y is 0 here. This is why we say when it meets the x-axis, y equals 0. Now if we look at point B, right, this point, which axis is it touching, the x or y? This is the y-axis, so we know, okay, it's touching the y-axis. Again, here there is no width. It's not going to the left, it's not going to the right. It's literally on the line of y-axis. So that means there is no x value. So we say here x equals 0. That's why whenever you hear the word meets y-axis, we say x equals 0. Okay, so that's a visual representation of why we give y equals 0 and x equals 0, which is pretty, if you know how to read graphs, it's quite straightforward, right? Okay, look at point A, oh, I don't have any y values, it's not going up or down, but I know an x, so I know y equals 0. At point B, oh, okay, there's no x here, but it's on on y, sorry, so that means x equals 0. Bang, that's it. So that's why we get this. So this is something that this will help so much. Trust me on this will help you so much when we do questions like this and we go into equations of tangent. So now if we, using what we just did there, we're going to try and tackle this question. So I'm going to write the equation line. So we say y equals 8x minus 16, and they're saying that this is meeting the x-axis. Okay, meeting the x-axis, what does that mean? Meeting the x-axis, oh, y is 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly say, okay, y equals 0. So that means I'm going to substitute y equals 0 in this equation to find my x. Okay, so if I put y equals 0 here, so I have 0 equals 8x minus 16. I can rewrite this as 8x minus 16 equals 0. If you bring 16 to the other side, or minus 16 should I say, it becomes positive 16, and x equals 16 divided by 8, which is 2. So I got my x coordinate 2, and I know my y coordinate, which is 0. And remember, it meets the x-axis at point A. So I know my point A is going to be 2, 0. So I've got my coordinate. Good. Right. But the question is asking, find the equation of the line that goes through A, which is this coordinate, and has a gradient of 3. So if I put this as the first step, the second step, so they want to find the equation of the line. Okay, how do I find the equation of the line? Does anyone remember the formula for the equation of the line? Which is, okay, you can use y equals mx plus c if you want, but I tend to use y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. And if you're not quite familiar with this, I would say go and watch the equations of line video that I have. I think I do show you how to do this. That will help you to understand what I'm about to do here. So this is to find the equation of the line. Question is, do I have a coordinate? Yes, which is 2, 0, because that's the coordinate that it's going through. Do I have a gradient? Yes, because it's given us the gradient, so m equals 3. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to label this as x1, y1. And I'm going to put these values inside here. So that means y minus my y1, which is 0, equals m, which is 3, and then bracket x minus x1. So my x1 here is 2. So now y minus 0 just becomes y. And then if I expand this, that'll be 3x minus 6. And that's it. Because 3 times x is 3x. And then 3 times minus 2 is minus 6. So my final equation of the line is basically y equals 3x minus 6. That is your answer for this line. So it's quite simple if you look at it, right? I mean, this is important. Yeah, this is, if you don't know this, you can't do this question. So remember, whenever it meets the x-axis, bang, y equals 0. Okay, and then they'll give you a code, you get the coordinate, and then you have the gradient, and then you can find the equation of the line. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another one where it meets the y-axis. Right, so in this one, the question that we have is saying the line y equals minus 6x plus 4 meets the y-axis at the point Q. Find the equation of the line that goes through Q and has gradient 5. So the first thing that I'm going to do straight away is change my color from yellow to blue. Okay, first thing is I'm going to write the equation of the line. So y equals minus 6x plus 4. Now, if you look at the question, it says meets the y-axis. So if it meets y-axis, what is 0? X equals 0. Okay, so straight away x equals 0, and I'm going to take this x equals 0 and put it inside here. So I'm going to substitute it wherever I see x. Okay, so obviously minus 6 times 0 gives you 0, and then 0 plus 4 is 4. So my coordinate Q is just going to be 0 and 4. That's it. So now we need to find the equation of the line. So to find the equation of the line, I'm going to do y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. I know my coordinate q, which is 0 and 4, and I know my gradient as well because it's given in the question, which is 5. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to label this as x1, y1, and I'm going to put this inside here. So y minus my y1, which is 4, and the gradient is 5, bracket x minus x1, which is 0. So we can keep y minus 4 here. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 0 is just going to be 0. But remember, we want this in the form of y equals mx plus c, right? In this form, we want this in the form of y equals mx plus c. So if we bring minus 4 to the other side, we're going to get plus 4. So our final answer here will be 5x. If you bring minus 4 to the other side, plus 4. And that's the answer to this question. So again, I hope that this has helped you to understand, how whenever you hear now, okay, meets y-axis, meets x-axis, it's not as daunting as it sounds. All you have to do is, okay, you put one of the coordinates as 0, substitute it inside there, and then find the equation of the line. Okay, so that'll be all for this one. And if you have any questions, any doubts, put it down in the comments, and yeah, I'll get back to you guys.